Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream. Well, we are finally getting some volatility, so I'm really happy about this. I mentioned in the Discord on this was Monday, and I basically said, I was short in here, and I wasn't really comfortable with being short because we could have very easily have made the argument why we should go up and why we should go down. And typically when you're trading, you really only want to be able to make the argument for, whichever way your trade's going, right? So that played out. I did get stopped out on this pump up. I had my stop loss. I readjusted it to here. So I got stopped out here. And nonetheless, I was very happy. And a lot of people might be like, well, why were you happy if you got stopped out? Well, the reason being is because, oh, I haven't switched this over yet. Or yeah, I did. Huh, why is this happening on the... Okay. And the reason being is because I didn't really care. I just wanted something to happen on the charts like this. This was driving me crazy. So, even if I get stopped out, we get to move up, no big deal. Finally, we have some volatility. We can take some new trades, and that's exactly what we're doing. I think some key levels on the charts right now would definitely be the previous month high and the monthly open. I would be looking for kind of a move down kind of to this zone here. At the very least, maybe, down here. I'm kind of in a, let's just zoom out here. I mean, here's the thing for me. Like, I think BTC does look good, right? We are smashing. We're absolutely crushing through resistance levels, and there shouldn't be any reason why, maybe we don't go a little bit higher, maybe to this 35K zone that I was talking about, right? Or at the very least, look to sweep this high, at around 32. This would be a great trade. Come up here, stop that out, and then maybe we get this larger retracement. The thing for me is when I look at this, I'm asking myself, when I see this price action, like without a doubt in my mind, I think that this should get swept at the very least, and maybe even this one here, depending on how violent the move is. So, doing something like this, or even this, right? On the other hand, maybe we go a little bit higher before we go lower, right? So maybe, the other scenario for me would be that if we zoom in a little bit here, why don't we actually add this on here? I think I already have it somewhere, but I'm not going to try to find it. So the other scenario being, we have a very small retracement, say to this zone here, and then we come up and cut through here, right? And then we get this larger retracement. So like these, I think that this would be more painful to do something like this, where we have a small retracement and then continuation to the upside into next week or the week after, to which then we have a larger retracement looming. I kind of like this setup a little bit more. But that said, if we start dropping and we lose this level, well, I'm not going to try to long on the way down. I'm going to look for a setup, right? I want to see something hold a support. I'll have a place for my stop loss, etc. If we fall and continue to keep falling, I immediately, my eye goes to these lows here to be swept at the very least, possibly this one, and then, at some point these going down to that 25, K zone that we, kind of in here that we have been talking about for quite some time. So yeah, those are kind of like the things that I'm looking at. Either we come down and sweep here, right, and get this move and then go up, or, we do this shallow retracement, get the move up, and then, kind of come back down from there. Right now I'm favoring more so this one. So when we do get down here, I am going to be like definitely taking quite a few profits, like starting at about the 29,600 zone. I'm pretty heavily positioned here. So I'm definitely going to be closing probably half of my position here. And I know in the Discord I have the setup taking profit here. I'm going to just front run that a little bit because I see a lot of people eyeing this 28,800 zone. So either we're going to front run it or drop straight through. So for that reason, being that I am like heavily positioned, I do want to take some profits here. Yeah, I personally, I don't see, if I just go ahead and like zoom in here, so maybe some people will say, well, why don't we just continue pumping? Yeah, it's possible. I'm definitely not going to put it past BTC. Crypto assets, they can totally be, they can behave irrationally and have extended rallies or dumps, where you would think, wow, this looks exhausted. We should probably, price should probably slow down a little bit, maybe have some degree of a retracement. And the truth is that a lot of people want those retracements so they themselves can long and get in on this rally. That said, we don't want to forget just how massive of a resistance this is, and that ultimately, if we do choose to just long here, we are longing into resistance. That said, if you're, looking to play this mini range here, that is kind of a different story if you do choose to do something like that. I said this in the Discord as well. This like formation for me, and for some of you, well, let's do this. I'll just talk a little bit about it. I don't know that this is like a specific pattern per se, but I always, when I see something like this, I call it the tripod. You have your initial move up, right? Come down, grind, sweep that high, and then of course you have all of these lows here, so you sweep those lows. And then have a move back down to the bottom here, which would be our current range low, right? And then what does price do is we come up, make an attempt at the high, close below the 618. So this looks like, something like this. Right? And then maybe we come back up and either go lower or reclaim and go higher. Right? So, and maybe for some of you, if we just go ahead and flip this upside down, if we invert the scale, like to me, I would long this, right? If we invert this, we have our move down, early longers are taking out, shorts would then be trapped here, right? And what would we do? We would long and we would look to sweep these highs, take out these highs. We'd look for a move up to at least this zone here, and then we would evaluate, right? So doing that, in my opinion, like this, for some of you who are more comfortable with finding bottoms rather than tops, like to me, this looks like a pretty great, bottom scenario here. If we, let's even just, we'll get rid of the 0.5 here, but you can see like, yeah, this is definitely a scenario that I would long. Like I would long this, right? Move down, take them out, trap shorts, close above, hold the 618. We have all these highs to sweep, right? So why not, do something like that? So bringing us back to our normal scale, same would go for the short scenario, right? This looks like a great short for me, so I'm going to continue to hold. on that short and look a little bit lower. But like I said, unlike what I've shown in the Discord shows that I'm going to be taking profit starting like around here. I'm actually going to start around here. Let's go take a look at some of the other charts here that I have. So this is partially why that, oh, this is not the one I want. Okay, so this is really my key chart here. I really like this chart, and this is the one that's, you know, primarily motivating a lot of my choices right now. And I'll explain to you what I'm seeing here. So this is our previous range. I took the value area of our previous range and extended the value area low, the high, and the point of control here. And as we extend those over, let's go ahead and put this down. We extend this over here. Oops. We extend this over. I'll actually go ahead and delete this. We extend this over, and this is, again, this is a 4-hour time frame. We can see that the point of control of the previous range is holding as resistance. What else do we have? We also have the this sort of wedge formation, at the very least this trend line here that we can see is also holding as resistance. So for me, like, again, I don't see any reason why we couldn't get some kind of a move down. You know, possibly like I said, my initial target being this 28,800 zone, and you could see why, because it was a key resistance here for some time, and I would really just look to backtest that and then, you know, maybe break out to the upside of this rising wedge and then get the move down, you know, doing something like that. So we'll just have to play it by ear. It's very possible that we simply reject and get kind of that move down as you would expect from kind of a rising wedge formation. But, you know, it's strong. It's going up, and there really isn't like a whole lot of reason for it to not continue to do so. So yeah, I'm just going to assume it's going to be a shallow dip, take my profits and look to be a little bit more aggressive for a long position. That said, if price continues to fall, then, well, I'm not obviously not going to be looking to long anything. But yeah, move like down here, putting in something like this, and then breaking down would be, and then going up. Like, to me, this would be perfect. Right? Yeah, by the end of the month. Look at that. Wouldn't that be really nice? But, you know, a lot of people might be expecting this, and that for that reason, you know, we may not get that. I'm really expecting a lot of people to want to step into long here. If we were to lose this, I expect a lot of people to get super bearish and expect continuation to the downside, which could propel us higher. I don't think that this zone is like the safe zone to long. I may look to hedge here just in case, but I think that a lot of people are really eyeing this 28,800 level. It's super obvious, as you can see, really obvious place for an SR flip. So deviating below it, taking out some lows, I think would be appropriate, or front running it, as I had said earlier, doing some kind of a front run, and then, you know, totally disrespecting this this rising wedge, right, and then kind of having that fake out to the upside first is also another possibility to keep an eye on. Let's go look at, there's another chart I actually want to look at here. This one. Okay, this is a very, 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 very important chart. So here is this is our sideways range, our macro sideways range that we can see price broke down and back tested from here to then do this move down, to which gave us our lower range, but I'm not going to pay attention to that right now. This is why that area is so key, is because, you know, what we could see happening here is testing this here, right? And then getting this move down afterwards, right? So it's worth keeping in mind. We haven't quite hit that, you know, exact level per se yet, but we are in a zone of resistance. You know, as we can see, this zone acted as support here, was lost and back tested here, and we're now, you know, back at it again within that sort of important SR flip zone. And, you know, the day that comes that price does make it back in here, we could see some serious continuation to the upside. That said, I also believe I have this sideways, also this sideways channel that I think is also very well respected. The sideways upwards channel. So I could see, you know, price coming in here, making people think that we're going to do this when instead we reject off this monthly level and as well as the low of that, deviate this range for then a move back down to, you know, like around maybe the 20K zone or something like that. Like this would be really nice to kind of see that deviation here for then that move down later on, right? So we'll have to keep an eye on that. It's something that I've mentioned in the past. Yeah, here it is right here. I drew this out in the last live stream. Basically doing something like this, I think would be really, really nice. So we'll just have to play it by ear, you know? In the meantime, like I said, I'm just kind of looking for some degree of a sweep down. Ultimately, I just want to get below this weekly, right? And do something and then kind of, you know, play up by ear in here and see if we want to take an aggressive long position that we could then trade to 32, or if we lose some levels and we simply look a little bit lower. Let's take a look at ETH, the ETH chart right now. Yeah, so ETH, man, ETH. Okay, so the ETH BTC is at a major support here. On a lower time frame, it is technically, you know, back testing a resistance zone here. If it does reject, you know, maybe we'll just spend a little bit of time down here. I would be surprised if ETH just started ripping, especially because we have that upgrade that unlocks a lot of ETH. And I think that a lot of retail is pretty bearish on that, thinking that once it's unlocked, we may see some selling, and we very well might. You know, whatever low forms, in my opinion, from this upgrade, if we are to see a low. And here's the thing, I said this like last week that I'm looking for ETH to dump, create a new low that we can then, you know, look to position off of for a long. And here's the deal, you know, this might have been that dump. The dump may have been actually against BTC, not on a USD pair, USDT pair, which honestly is a little bit frustrating for me. I've had this happen to me before where I've looked at an asset and said, I think we're going to have a huge dump here on this asset. And it didn't actually dump on USDT. It dumped on the BTC pair. So yeah, we're kind of starting to see that right now. I'm not, you know, obviously that's not great. So here's what we want to see. Right now, we'll zoom out just a pinch here. I'm gonna go ahead and hide this. So I've been short for a while. I shorted like, can't remember where I shorted. I think I shorted like in here. Got under, added here, took profit here, added a little bit more here, and now I'm gonna take profit again here, and then again down here, when and if we do get that move down. So that's where my positioning is at right now. My short is technically underwater right now, which is fine, no big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and hide this. So for ETH right now, we can see that we're in this rising wedge formation. It's being really well respected. We can see we had a little bit of a deviation here. We are back testing the 618 as well as this channel. If this area holds as resistance, I would expect to move back down here and then hopefully to at the very least get to this monthly open, which is a primary take profit for me. And then from there, you know, we can look to either have a bottom put in here where we can look to long or whatever. And we'll kind of have to play it by ear again, similar to what I said with BTC. Either things are going to be really shallow here, and then we get that move up, or we're going to have sort of a larger, more aggressive retracement that will be quick, you know. So we'll kind of have to just wait and see on that. I'm not really. It's tough to say. It really is. It's tough to say. Right now, just looking at the charts, I'm leaning more towards price going down. That said, I will, admittedly, I have been, I think, a little bit more eager to short than I have been to long. And I've said this before, that kind of comes with, you know, trading a year's worth of price action that was virtually straight down, that every pump was retraced. So when we do get kind of the opposite rhetoric here, despite the fact that it's a bear market rally, it is a little bit more difficult for me to be aggressive on longs. And that's admittedly a small bias that I have, right? And that's something that you guys, you know, if you are following my analysis and following my trades, can take into consideration. And just know that I acknowledge that I have some degree of that bias, and that I am, you know, looking to be a little bit more appropriate with my expectations, which is why, you know, I'm going to look for this previous month high as a possible area of support for then a move up higher, rather than holding out for my initial take profits that are slightly lower. Okay. So that is worth keeping in mind. Man, ETH is just on a tear. Yeah, we'll have to see if this holds. If we break back up above here, it could definitely come back up to the top of the wedge here. You know, maybe it doesn't even play out. So generally speaking, that's my plan. You guys know my setups, you know my entries, you know all that stuff. And I think we'll go ahead and cut it off there. I don't think we have to have too long of a analysis here. I kind of gave you guys, you know, what I'm looking for. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the Discord. I will be around. I will be active all day. But I'm not going to get too caught up in the volatility and trying to catch some kind of a trade or something like that. I have my trades taken. I have my stop losses set. I'm just going to let everything play out because, you know, on a day like today, the price action is going to get pretty messy. I think things are going to get very volatile. And in that volatility, you know, in my opinion, just from my experience, I'm more likely to mess up my trade than I am to, you know, give myself an advantage or do something that will help my trade by micromanaging it. Okay. So, all right, guys. Well, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the Discord. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. And let's look forward to some of this volatility. Hopefully, we'll catch some really good trades.